Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the most must-see podcast here in the NJSSL. Welcome to The Cutting Redge. I am joined today by the one and only captain of Team Motherland. He is a man who I have the pleasure of saying I played football with him for the past 20 years, and with time he just gets better and better, both as a human and as a football player. He is the one and only Nabil Zaidi. Nabil, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Reg, thank you for that introduction. And I just want to say, bro, like I'm so happy to have you back, have the Cutting Reg back. I know we missed, what was it, one season,
Yeah.
and it just isn't the same without the podcast and the talk, man. Like you just have that it factor to do what you do. Like you make what NJSSL is. You make it exciting, man. So I just want to put that out there, man. So happy to have you back, especially for this football season.
Dang, Nabil, I appreciate it, my man. I appreciate it. That was very touching, actually. It's a lot of hard work, and
I'm sure.
I'm glad that it brings the flavor of NJSSL to life.
Yeah.
But speaking of flavors to NJSSL, just in general, like, what are your thoughts, kind of, on this upcoming season of football we got going on?
I mean, look, like football is like a personal favorite of mine. I played in high school. I don't know if you know this or not, but I played in high school throughout my years there in Sayreville. I played as a strong safety, so I'm just like super happy and like honored to have football back in my life because I meant so much in my youth, in my high school years, and it was like super exciting, and to have it as part of like having it back here as a community. I'm super excited, and having a role as a captain this year. I was on the fence about it, but I was just like, let's just do it, let's make it happen. And I saw the other captains, and there were some names that uh can really like take this role on, whether as a player or as a captain. I know they're all younger than me, and I know you talked about that too. They're much younger than me, but like we all get along well. We hang out, and they're a great group of guys as well. So I'm really excited for this year playing captain.
100%, 100%. I was gonna say, you are definitely the oldest amongst the captains for this season, which gives you that veteran advantage. Perhaps maybe it'll come as a disadvantage. What was kind of your strategy going into your drafting your team?
So I approached the draft wanting to basically pick a strong defensive secondary with players that had high IQ and super passionate about the game.
Hmm.
And the reason why I approached it this way was I already knew I wanted Farhan, and before even knowing like the draft order, like me getting second pick, I had already told Farhan like, yo, I hope I get like a pick that's able to get him right,
Hmm.
and it just worked out that way.
Hmm.
And a lot of the reason is for that is because of the Eagles season. I think you mentioned it in different podcasts, or Heather
Yeah.
might have mentioned it. I really enjoyed seeing him play and playing with him, and I was I was set on having Farhan as the first pick, and my other strategy was to just have a really well-rounded IQ team, a really passionate team, and most of all is a really strong defensive secondary. And then I'm talking about names like, all right, so we got Farhan, which is arguably like the one of the strongest lockdown
Without a doubt.
D backs, right? And then you know for whatever reason, Ali Shah was still there. Another, like, arguably the best safety in the league, right?
Hmm.
And again, checks off high passion, high IQ, right? Checks those boxes out. So I just had to take him there. And another reason for that was I didn't want uh, Zohaib's team, who has Hussein, to have a strong quarterback like
Like
Ali
shot.
Shah.
Hmm.
So I wanted to take that threat away as well. So he was like the obvious pick for me. And just going, I'll just go down a few other names like
Yeah.
let's see, I have it right here.
I was gonna say, yeah. Just run through your whole team actually, real
Yeah.
quick.
So I'll just continue talking about strategy and like running through
Yeah.
the names as I go. So like I mentioned Farhan, I mentioned Shah, I mentioned Heather. Heather is probably like the best player for the role of a middle linebacker or a blitzer DN, right? So I take care of that defensively. Poppy Muss, you seen his pick sixes,
Fast.
And he checks off the high IQ, he checks off the high passion. He's super passionate about the game. I talked to him a lot, and he's been like working out and looking forward to the season. And I just knew how to take him. Um, and then Mo said I feel like he was very very overlooked in the first few rounds. Knowing how dominant of a player he was in the Eagles, like he played only about like 4 or 5 games from what I recall, but he made
Made
such a
his impact.
significant he was such an impactful player.
Mhm.
And seeing him still there on the board, whether he was overlooked because I don't know some years passed or he missed a few seasons or got injured, but seeing him there, he just checked off all those boxes that I just mentioned. Adi, same thing. And having a strong flag puller and high IQ and strong passion like Adi. Fizan Razi, he's a really I remember Heather was just running all the accolades. Like he's always been on the top names that you would name for like defensive ends. I include myself on that list as well. So and then I had another strategy of like some players that I know that was kind of like right now I'm just naming like the big players, right?
Sure.
So Reg, there's some players that are rookies this year, which I just happen to know of, like such as an Iman. Iman's another one that I drafted late. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's Ali Sheikh's cousin. He actually plays football as well in school as a defensive end. So that was just like the strategy I already had in mind was to get him late. So when as we were going down the draft, people may have thought there's no lineman, but there were some names that just the people just don't know.
People don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
100%. Definitely when I talked with Heather last week, Iman Sheikh being a rookie, into this league, definitely, there's a question factor, right? You just don't know what they're capable of,
For
and how
sure.
they're going to play in the league. So definitely could be somebody that makes a huge name for himself.
Yeah.
Go on. Tell me about the rest of your team
Um,
that you
yeah,
drafted.
so I'll just quickly run through all the names. Like Tharab is somebody that can, have a he's also a rookie, and I feel like somebody like Farhan can really work with him and develop him as a player, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that he doesn't have that much experience. But then we have Mikhail, um, Asa Joffrey, Asa Bhai, we have Arham, Anan Bhai, we have Zaire, Irfan, Zidak.
Mm-hmm.
We have Imran Zadi. We have some we have a great bench that can like fill all the gaps that we needed
100%.
while I was looking for the secondary defensive players.
100%. So actually, yeah, as I kind of talked about with Heather, right? And you kind of went through yourself, right? Like definitely a strong strategy, definitely very high IQ players, solid players. I think two of the questions that arise, and one of the things I had mentioned on the podcast is that like you definitely have the potential to be like one of the most dominant teams in the history of NJSSL football. The question I think that arises is what chemistry is the team going to have, and are the high passionate players, are they going to be able to gel, or are they going to have skirmishes within the team, with the other players or amongst themselves?
Hmm.
Like I think that is going to be a question, and if in that situation, like how do you as the captain kind of deal with that, or how do you get those guys all on the same page so that you can win this championship?
Reg, when you said that, I listened to the podcast recently. When you said that, man, like I don't disagree with you. Like that, it will be a challenge because as far not as far as chemistry, meaning like players getting along, but having so many powerhouses in one team, such as the names I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a strategy and a working strategy that I have been implementing so far in our preseason conversations, which I'll just like quickly summarize without giving too much, is that I'm gonna let those alpha powerhouses be themselves, right? And versus like me telling them what they should do, I'm gonna let their strong personality shine the way they want, and I'm gonna let these powerhouses figure out how we can like come together as a unit. It's
Mm-hmm.
obviously a big challenge. We've seen it in like professional sports where there's several rock star players. Like, how do we make that happen? And I think that keeping when I was drafting, I was also keeping that in mind. And the way I kind of like figured that out was drafting positions versus just like superstar players after superstar
Sure.
players. Like I have somebody who's a rock star in a specific role, so it doesn't like it doesn't conflict. But that's my way to handling it, and I just want to point out that that is a valid. Um, I think that's a valid thing to think about as a captain, which I am thinking about. Is I have such strong personalities in the game, like you said, such strong passion about the game, and how do I manage that? I guess we'll start seeing how things roll out. But that's my strategy going in, and I told
Um,
him straight up, and we talked about it too. Like I know you guys are, you do what you do, and I'm gonna let you do what you do.
100%. No, it's definitely one way to approach it. Like I said, it could definitely have the potential to go very far. It could backfire, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I definitely would not be surprised if three or four different guys end up doing three or four different things and not what they kind of decided on, or
Hmm.
whoever might lead amongst them decides
Yeah,
on. Just because they are so alpha in their nature.
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Definitely. Do we have a schedule yet for the games? Like, do you know who you're playing first week?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't think they released it yet.
fair
Um,
enough. Fair enough. So we'll see. We'll get to that when we get to that. I think another thing that a lot of people are talking about, Nabil, and I want to really kind of hear your thoughts on this because you even kind of alluded to it earlier. You said that, you know, you're 35 now, 36 now.
35.
35. So you said that you are still amongst the top defensive ends, and I don't doubt that for a second. But there definitely are some that question that theory. There's some that have said, Nabil, he is past his prime. So really, what I want to ask you is, or really want to hear is how you would address those that doubt your basically capabilities at this point. Now that you are a little bit more veteran compared to a lot of other guys in the league at that position.
I think that it's a fair assumption. I mean, when you cross a certain point in your 30s, like every year is like 5 years, right, Reg? So
That's true. That's
it's
accurate.
and then when you have kids, it's just another 5 years on top of that. So
100%.
it's a fair assumption, but I've I've been prioritizing getting in shape, whether it be my stamina, whether it be my strength, in the past, I would say, like since last November, like um, just getting stronger, just getting faster, and I've I, I'm just gonna show it on the field. The few people that I do talk to on a regular basis, they see it, and I'm just gonna show it on the field.
I was gonna say
I
even your Instagram reels show it on a regular basis. So
Yeah, yeah. So Reg, like obviously like me working out or getting in shape, it still takes a lot more than like a younger person does,
sure.
as far as the progression goes. And naturally, just the way of life, but it's a fair assumption. But I'm also excited to see how it will translate on the field. So I guess we'll see. But
Well,
I would, yeah, I will say, like, there's still you still can't deny that there's still going to be there's still going to be a problem on the line, whether I'm like
100%.
aging or not.
Right,
So
right, right.
that's
And I
how I
guess
would address it.
to be fair, like you said, a lot of other guys, that are also like strong linemen are also older, or up there in age too.
For
So
sure.
hopefully it doesn't make a deal. But I bet it is a surprise to a lot of people that you were, primarily a strong safety back in your early days.
Yeah. I mean,
That
I don't know if you remember, but I used to be much slimmer,
I, I
faster.
I totally remember. I was gonna
Yeah.
say when we started playing football together, you were actually like the playmaker position. You could do basically anything.
I was a skill
It,
player. Yeah.
yeah, but
Those Astana tackle football games. We used to play tackle. Isn't that crazy?
that is crazy. We were wild back in those times. In
Yeah.
fact, I think one of the first times that we played, I think we weren't even on the same team.
Were we?
And
Yeah, that's awesome.
I vaguely remember that, but yeah, man, it was wild. I don't think that team was very
Yeah.
good, but that's okay. It is what it is at this point. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So the next question I have for you is, of now you know all the other teams as well. Who are
Mm.
you most excited to play?
Well, honestly, I think all teams are pretty well rounded. I think everybody did a good job drafting. A lot of people say something about NQ drafting, but I feel like they could be a strong running team. With
Yeah,
MJ. I'm sure they could figure something out. I wouldn't doubt them. I do think they're the weaker ones right now, or the weakest one right now, but I wouldn't doubt them. So aside from NQ's team, I think that all the other teams will give us a fair fight. Who I would like to who I'm looking forward to the most is probably teams like Akbar Rizvi's team, who have the Shahrukh and ZJ, Akbar of course, combination. They also have I think Shazan. I think he impressed me with his drafting. I didn't think that he would draft that well. Shazan has Waleed Mirza. He's a strong line, so
Yeah.
I'm excited to see his breakout year as a quarterback too. I think it's coming, and I'm excited to see it. In fact, I think we're gonna play them first. Uh, that's
Okay.
that's that's the
That's a
word.
possibility. So I think
Yeah.
that would definitely be a strong game. I actually want to take back to Akbar Rizvi. You mentioned that you're excited to play his team, and Akbar also is a defensive end, and I don't think he would. He's not said this out loud yet, but I think he would probably call himself one of the best defensive ends, if not the best defensive end in the NJSSL right now. As a person who's also a defensive end, what do you have to say? What would you say to that?
I mean, I would comment it more as being somebody who's on the O line as well. So as an offensive line who's went head to head with all pretty much all these big names, um, he hasn't got a sack over me. Uh, and I heard that they might put Shahrukh on the line, and I went head one on one with Shahrukh, and he didn't get a sack over me. But I'm just saying that just for the drama. But he's very talented. I do see him as being probably the best one right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I think he did lead the league last year in sacks, so that definitely
Yeah.
goes to his credit. Who do you think? Do you think it will be his team, or do you think there's another team that will be like your, like you can't wait to play that? Well, not only that you can't wait to play him, but who will rise up basically as the anti Nabil?
Um, I want to say there's probably, as far as like matchups go, and I'm not talking
Yeah,
about just myself, just as far as like people on my
your
roster
whole
and their
team. Yeah,
roster.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be obviously the matchup with Hussein and Farhan and Shah, right? So Zohaib's team for sure. They also have a strong line with Reza Merchant, and I believe Miz, which are
Yeah.
two great linemen as well. And I want to say again, ZJ's team was probably the second one. And then I feel like Shazan's team is good, but I don't really see them um, being that much of a threat as far as like matchups. Um, but we'll see.
What are your thoughts on Hubbard?
See, I didn't even mention Sherber's team, so I'm not even thinking about
Fair
them.
enough. That tells us all we need to know. That tells us all we
Yeah,
need to know. Good
yeah.
stuff. So interesting. So it'll be interesting to see your guys' matchup with Zohaib's team for sure. I think that'll definitely be a good matchup whenever it happens. That is Team SNS. Cool. Excellent. Any final thoughts, Nabil? Anything else you wanted to share? Or anything that we want to touch on?
Final thoughts. Not that I mean, like I said, I'm excited. I think the football season with NJSL is the most exciting. I think people have the most fun. It's gonna be really sad not seeing you there, Reg.
Oh,
Hopefully next season we see you back on the line with enthusiasm.
100%.
You know. So I'm super excited. Props to everybody who contributes to making this happen, including yourself. And yeah, let's. Where are we? Like less than a month away.
Yeah, I think we're two
Yeah,
2.5 weeks away. Oh, actually, they pushed back the first week, right, to the
right.
13th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit under a month. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get it. I think it's also going to be exciting with the NFL too this time. I think we always used to play in the summer, so it's
Yeah.
like straight football fever.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then
Yeah.
they're trying to, the games are on Saturdays this year, so you
Yep.
get
Yep.
your NJSSL football Saturdays and your NFL football Sundays. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll have to see what happens. And I will actually I'm not sure which days exactly, but I'm going to try and make a few surprise appearances. Perhaps
Definitely.
perhaps some commentary. For some big games. We'll have to see
Oh
what happens.
man, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely want to see you there.
I do what I can. I do what I can. But inshallah, next year I'll definitely be back in the action. Until then, Nabil, thank you for coming on the podcast. It was very much
Thank
a
you,
pleasure
Reg.
to have you. Best of luck with everything, my friend. Best of luck this season in football. And inshallah, we look forward to having you back on the cutting edge soon.
Thanks, Reg. Likewise, bro. I really enjoy this.
Of course, man. Of course. Have a great day, and to all of you watching at home, have a great rest of your night. Take care. Khudafis.
Love this.